talk a little bit about defense mechanisms. What I love about this concept of defense mechanisms is a defense mechanism. When you hear that, it sounds like it could be perceived as a good or a bad thing. But what's interesting about defense mechanisms is whether you think you're doing something productive or in a negative fashion, proactive or reactive, you always have a defense mechanism. I would assume that, if I wake up and I'm stressed out and I go to the gym and I drink water and I eat healthy food, that's a defense mechanism as well, right? So talk a little bit about it, because I think it's important for everybody to recognize and identify potentially, well, I shouldn't say it's important. It might be important to the individual. I'm starting to learn that to identify their defense mechanisms. I identify them all day long, and I get to know myself better.
Yeah, so a defensive process that the mind uses to shield itself from something that's unacceptable to it or just too much. So it could be things like anxiety or shame. I'll bet here's an underrated one. We talk a lot about anxiety or depression, and rightfully so. But I'll bet a lot of your listeners know the sting of shame, being shamed, or feeling guilty about something. So what are your options for the mind when that is there? You can set with it, 100%, here it is, and I'm just going to be with it. And often unconsciously, the mind will shield itself from these painful events or emotions, and it defends itself from the pain that is anger or that is guilt or humiliation. And we can call these our defense mechanisms. And we are really creative in the ways that we will use to defend ourselves against them. So we'll do things like we'll project onto others. You are the one who is feeling less than. It's not me, right? So I'm kind of putting that onto you. When we're kids, during our upbringing, here's the inverse of projection. It's introjection. We will introject or bring into our constitution the voice and message of others. So sometimes as an adult, you will catch someone saying, "I sound just like my mom," saying that, or "That's what my dad always does. I shouldn't be doing that." And well, that's because it really is. You've kind of incorporated the voice or the message of them from way back when, your caregiver, your parent, whoever, and then it becomes kind of infused within your own worldview and your psyche and your mind. Therefore, later, you're probably going to at least sometimes offer that message. But think about what that introjected message has done potentially to your self-esteem, your self-perception, your self-efficacy. So we would say with the old, "I'm just like my mom here." Well, yeah, you really are, and you use the defense of introjection when growing up, say, to make that come about. Is there a problem with it? Well, it might be. Every defense has a cost. So look at it this way. A less pricey defense would be, I'm feeling stressed. I'm going to go to the gym for a while. I'm going to choose not to think about this. I'm going to suppress it. So suppression is one. That might be a less costly one. A more costly could be, say, the introjection example, and I still have this voice that I'm terrible and I'm not good enough and I was criticized a lot growing up and it's still a part of me. And that's enacted a pretty hefty price for you, probably. So is that bad? Well, you can be the judge of that, but it's probably stopping you from becoming your authentic self, dare I say? Whoever you are right now, if it's heavily infiltrated by so many people from the past, maybe abusers, maybe people who traumatized you, then you're still playing that out. And that's, you could argue, is not you. We can talk about who you are right here and now and who you want to be, but it's probably not that. So yeah, they can be more good, and they can be more bad. Or you might say more or less costly.